Alright, what's going on, guys? Trevor back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing sort of a different kind of video, new kind of video I've decided to do. This was suggested by some viewers, and basically I have been doing my versus series of videos, so you got like, Batman versus Superman and different heroes that, match up together and give my thoughts on who would win. This one's going to be kind of like that, but a little bit different. I want to talk a little bit about some, superhero versus villain rivalries slash, relationships and how they play off each other, and just give my thoughts on why it's interesting and why it makes sense and why it's good. So in effort to think of the best one to start with, I started looking, and pretty much you have a lot of sites like IGN and different sites like that will count down the best superhero, supervillain rivalries, arch nemesis, this kind of stuff. And right off the bat, almost everyone I went to had number one Batman and the Joker. Furthermore, probably because they've been around for so long, and like over 60, 70 years now. And also, the two characters by themselves are right at the top of your best superhero and supervillain characters. Your best superhero character, definitely in the top three, I'd say, for any reputable, site, would have Superman and Batman, and then a Marvel character like Spider-Man. But definitely in the top three, you got to have Batman somewhere. Either he's number one, number two. Could you put him at number three? I don't think many people would put him at number three, but he's probably in the top two. In terms of supervillains, the Joker is almost always at the top as well. He's either number one or sometimes number two, depending on who does it. Like IGN, I think, had Magneto at number one and the Joker at number two. But most other sites, Wizard, that kind of stuff, would have the Joker at number one. I would put the Joker at number one and also Batman at number one. So, that being said, separately, they are probably the two most interesting characters in comic books, I think. The best hero and the best villain. So what makes their rivalry so interesting, or what makes them play off each other so well? Because really, clowns and bats have nothing to do with each other. Absolutely nothing to do with each other. Like, they don't, there's no, long-standing, connection between the two. Whereas you have like Wolverine and Sabretooth, where they're both kind of animals in that way, and they both are very similar in the way they fight this kind of stuff. They just kind of fill with rage. Clowns and bats, really, the two never really mix. Like, there's nothing about them that really, creates some kind of relationship or rivalry between them. It really is just the characters themselves, that the way they play off each other, that make it work so well. I think probably the most interesting thing about Batman and the Joker is, when you think about it, by the average definition, they're both insane. Yeah, you can say that. They're both insane. For a billionaire, let's say a billionaire was to go to their psychologist, let's say, if they had one, which a lot of them do, because they got a lot of money. They can do whatever the hell they want to. So they want to talk to somebody who's a genius, when it comes to the mind and this kind of stuff, and life coaching and all that. Because a lot of them do that. A lot of them do life coaching and that kind of stuff. If a billionaire was to say, I want to dress up like a bat and fight crime in the most crime-ridden city in the world, you put myself in all this danger and all this kind of stuff and do all this crazy stuff because I just feel like it. This is what I want to do. That person would be labeled insane. I'm sorry. That person would be absolutely... A psychologist would say, you are stark raving crazy. On the paper, he would write down, this guy is a nutcase. And continue to listen, of course, the person talk about what he wants to do. But, of course, a lot of this dates back to, Bruce's upbringing and what happened to his parents and all that. You guys all know the story. I'm not going to go over it. But you know what I'm saying. So the way that he deals with it is he brings out this, all of this id inside of him, so to speak, of just anger and frustration and hatred towards the world. He focuses that, sublimates that towards doing something good. Whereas, really, most people, when they encounter those kinds of situations, do the opposite. They do something very hurtful, very bad, which I think is what makes Batman very, very interesting in and of himself. Bruce Wayne, very interesting in and of himself, is that he creates that. And an interesting question with Batman, as always, is he, which side, Bruce Wayne or Batman, the alter ego, which one is truly the alter ego? Which one is truly the real individual? Or which one is more of him? Like, is is Bruce Wayne just this person, or is Batman really, the main identity, and is Bruce Wayne sort of, a facade? So is Batman really who he truly is, or is Bruce Wayne? And I think the answer to that question, at least from my perspective, is probably Batman. Batman is his true identity, his id inside of him, coming to the surface and living in this world, okay, in which, it's really kind of crazy for him to, as a character, do that, because in the real world and this kind of stuff, I mean, in the DC universe, yeah, but, good example would be like the Nolan movies that are very close to reality. He's just got to deal with this somehow. So he chooses to do it that way, which I think makes him the most interesting hero there is. Also, the fact that he doesn't have superpowers, okay? He just uses his, his gadgets and all that kind of stuff in his training to do his thing. But, yeah, the whole point of why I just went off on that rant is because Batman himself is nuts. He's crazy. Okay, so now as interesting as that is for, your protagonist or your hero to be that way and to come out that way, the Joker on the other side is 10 times that, like tenfold. He is probably the craziest character you could get. I mean, the amount of issues the character has are just endless. I mean, he's absolutely insane. Well, him too, on the other hand, a lot of people could argue he isn't. I think generally, a general definition of him is that he's insane. He's nuts. And, as crazy as Batman is, the Joker is probably tenfold that in terms of craziness. And, of course, the part about, that between the two of them that sort of makes that really interesting is that, Batman can do whatever he wants to the Joker. He can beat his ass. He can, knock him out, whatever. But his rule, obviously, is that he's a hero. And he's not going to kill. He's not going to kill him. So, being that he won't kill, he refuses to kill, inevitably, the legal system takes the Joker and throws him into Arkham Asylum, which is sort of like taking a big fat kid and sentence him to go to McDonald's for the rest of the week. He's just in paradise there. Yeah, that's the best example. A fat kid at McDonald's, or a geeky kid like myself, or many of you probably, sending him to his room when he's got like a $2,000 gaming computer. And you're like, okay, I'll go. That's a Joker. You send him to Arkham Asylum. What does it do? It does nothing. He just loves it. He loves it, and until he gets bored, he'll just have fun in there until he finds a way to break out, or convince his psychologist, psychiatrist in there, like Harley Quinn, for example, to help him break out or whatever. So he's very manipulative in that way too, and it creates a nice rivalry between the two, because they can never really beat one another. At least those two by themselves can't, because Batman won't kill him, right? And then the Joker, of course, doesn't mind going to Arkham. So every time Batman stops him, catches him, sends him to Arkham, he goes there, and he has the time of his life. He's eating the Big Macs like the fat kid is. He's acting crazy. He's with all of his friends and buddies in the insane asylum. And then eventually breaks out and he goes back, and then the cycle repeats itself. So it's never ending, so to speak. And the Joker, a lot of people, like, especially the way he used to be written, was that he actually was trying to kill Batman. But I think an interesting sort of step in evolution of the character is in, for example, The Dark Knight, when Heath Ledger, they kind of thought about it, and they're like, well, does the Joker really want to kill Batman? And, you have Heath Ledger, who portrayed him amazingly, and he kind of says, like, no, he doesn't want to kill. He's way too much fun, so he creates these elaborate schemes and all this kind of stuff to maybe hurt the people around him. Kill Jason Todd, beat him to death with a crowbar, do all these other kinds of things to torture him, shoot, like in The Killing Joke, where he shoots Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, so to speak, and paralyzes her. All these different kinds of things, but he's never actually really wanted to truly kill Batman, because he's just so much fun. So from both sides of it in the rivalry, no one can ever really win. And I think that's pretty genius, and that's how you have, 60, 70 years of the two of them going at it, and really neither of them 100% checkmating the other. and they just go back and forth like that all the time. So yeah, that's pretty much. I could go on longer, but I don't want to make the video too long. But I think that that's probably the most interesting thing about the characters, and you know, and why they make such a good villain to hero rivalry. Also, too, is that they're both opposites of what you would think they would normally be. A clown is usually happy-go-lucky and, you know, having fun. And the Joker actually does have fun. Like, when he does these things, he absolutely loves what he's doing. He loves it. He thinks it's the greatest thing ever, you know, to torture people and kill people and do all this stuff, do crazy things. He loves it. He has so much fun with it. So he's very positive about doing things that are so horrible. Whereas you have Batman, who, being a hero, you'd think he would be normally positive. Like you have Superman, who's positively positive. This kind of stuff. All these characters. Captain America, positively positive. And Batman is generally negative. You know, he's kind of depressed. He's negative, you know. So in terms of their attitudes, too, it's a reversal. You know, the villain usually would be, you'd think, would be depressed and, you know, all this kind of stuff and become moody and act out and do these things as a result of that. The hero would usually be happy and positive and all this kind of stuff. So another way, too, that is really interesting is that they flip those, too. So a lot of role reversal, so to speak, between Batman and the Joker. And that's why I think it's definitely the #1 greatest villain to hero rivalry. And I don't think there's many people out there that honestly don't like, you know, Batman and the Joker, or one of the two. You know, whichever one you're rooting for. If you're rooting for Joker to win or Batman to win, you're still going to want to see it because you're still going to like one of them. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about it. And if you have any suggestions, if you like this video, please let me know. It's a new kind of video, experimenting here. So if you'd like to see me do any other villain to hero rivalries, please write them down below. Other ones I can think of that would be really good would probably be Wolverine, Sabretooth, let's see, Captain America, Red Skull, Spider-Man, Green Goblin. I mean, there's obviously tons, but those would be some I can think of off the top of my head. Superman, Lex Luthor. You guys know I'm not a big fan of Lex Luthor. I guess so. I guess that one would be okay. Goku, Frieza, maybe. You know, any other ones, I'm up to it. Send some suggestions below. Let's talk about it. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one later. Peace.